The sole purpose of this video is to provide a basic overview and orientation of your new apparatus. This video is not intended to act as or replace individualized driver-operator training. Individual fire departments may base guidelines, policies, and procedures tailored for best practices. Pierce Manufacturing and Hughes Fire Equipment representatives are not liable for injuries caused from acts resulting from actions inconsistent with the information provided within this video and/or accompanying manuals. Refer to the Operation and Maintenance Manual for complete details relating to the components and features of this apparatus. Only trained personnel should operate this vehicle or perform maintenance. You are responsible for learning how to operate this fire apparatus under all conditions without having to refer to the manual while operating at an emergency incident. This video will discuss types of warnings and caution labels. It is your responsibility to locate and identify each of the labels and understand the importance and associated hazards. Warning labels will point out procedure that must be taken or action that must be avoided to guard against the possibility of serious injury or death. Caution labels will advise you that there is a risk of damage to property if certain precautions are not followed. Continuous training, reviewing of operation and service manuals, developing good standardized practices will assist driver operators with a more complete understanding of the components and operation of this fire apparatus. As the driver operator of this vehicle, you are responsible for understanding the function of each component of the apparatus, maintaining control of the fire apparatus at all times while in operation, make operational and functional changes while operating at an emergency without having to read operator's instructions or safety warning labels, operate manual override and emergency shutdown procedures immediately if a component fails to operate properly. Components location may vary with each Pierce fire apparatus. Review the exact location of each component prior to operation. Major inconsistencies between your vehicle and the information contained in this video should be directed to your sales representative. Safe operation of any vehicle is the responsibility of the driver operator. You must learn the location and function of all controls, switches, gauges, valves, inlets, and discharges. Due to a higher center of gravity, heavy trucks have a significantly higher rollover tendency than other types of vehicles. To reduce the risk of rollover, avoid making sharp turns, excessive speed, and avoid abrupt maneuvers. In the event of a rollover crash, an unbelted person is significantly more likely to become injured or die than a person wearing a seatbelt. In the event of a crash, unbuckled occupants can also become a hazard to other occupants as they may be thrown around inside the cab. Seatbelts are required while in operation. Please refer to your warranty certificates for details and information enclosed in your manuals. Customer-installed equipment must be mounted to withstand road travel and comply with NFPA 1901. Modifications such as drilling holes or welding to structural frame components of the chassis are not permitted. Contact Pierce for instruction and review of non-structural sheet metal or other dissimilar metals for modification. Follow the radio installation guide for further assistance on installing or mounting electronics. Before placing your new apparatus into service, perform a primary inspection of key components of the apparatus, including all fluid levels, anti-lock braking systems, electronic stability control, and automatic traction control. Weigh your apparatus to ensure that it conforms to axle and brake ratings. Never exceed the gross axle rating printed on the label inside the cab. Exceeding these ratings could lead to reduced component life, personal injury, or death. Review the use of auxiliary braking systems, compression brake, exhaust brake, electronic retarder, and hydraulic retarder. Before placing the apparatus in service, refer to the operational maintenance manuals. Information on the operation and maintenance functions for the components such as the pump, pressure governor, and foam systems, along with other options, is provided in either the Pierce manuals and/or other manufacturer support information delivered with the apparatus. If you need more information, please contact Hughes Fire Equipment. Congratulations, North Las Vegas, Nevada, on your new fire apparatus, job number 31813. Please utilize this job number when referencing your apparatus with Hughes Fire Equipment and Pierce Manufacturing. Let's get started on a brief orientation of your new apparatus. Starting down at the front bumper on the passenger and driver side, you have dual air horns. Moving just inward of that location, you'll find your PA and siren speakers. Moving just inward, you have a drop front bumper, which allows access to tub storage for your pre-connected hose. Moving up onto the bumper on the passenger side, you'll find your mechanical siren, and then onto the driver's side, you'll find your bell. Moving up onto the body, you're going to find on the outer edges your turn indicator marker lights. Moving just inside of that location to the headlight cluster, you'll find your low beam on the outside edges and the high beam on the inside. Moving up, you'll find forward-facing emergency lights. And then as we look just under the Pierce logo, this will be the access point for releasing the hood latch. Moving up onto the top, you'll find 3 windshield wipers across the seamless one-piece windshield. And then up to the very top, you'll find on the brow running lights. There are 5 in all. Located in the center, you'll find your forward-facing floodlight, and on the outside edges, on the roof, you'll find your emergency warning lights. Moving up onto the bucket itself, you'll find 2 forward-facing emergency lights that are red in color. Moving to the outer edges of the bucket, you'll find 2 forward-facing emergency lights, and at the very top, you'll find 2 forward-facing floodlights. Here are some close-ups of those images that we just talked about. Let's move back up to the bucket. We'll talk a little bit about some of the items here. This is your downward sprinkler. Moving to the right, you'll find a drain. Moving up onto the bucket above the floor area, you'll find a 2.5-inch discharge port that is a ball valve gate. Moving further up onto the very top, you'll find your Opticom. And then once again on the outside edge, you'll find additional discharges. This is a large diameter master stream device, which can be either a smooth bore or a fog tip. At the very top, you'll find 2 forward-facing floodlights. And once again, located in the center, your Opticom. Let's take a quick look underneath. You'll find 2 rubber stoppers. Moving just to the front section, you'll find 2 downward-facing floodlights. Located in the rear, you'll find 2 attachment points. Moving to the outer edge of the apparatus on the bucket, you'll find 2 emergency warning lights. And at the very top, you'll find 2 adjustable pole-style lights. And underneath, an additional access. Looking down at the bumper, you'll find your breakaway front end, which reveals an 1.5-inch discharge. Underneath the Pierce logo is where the latch is for the hood release. As we look under the hood, you'll find your raise cab instructions and lower cab instructions. The yellow remote is for activating the motor, and the red switch is the directional switch for either raise or lower, depending on the position. In the very back, you'll find your power steering ATF Dextron 3. Let's move to the opposite side where you'll find your fill location for your windshield wiper fluid. Here are some close-ups once again of those images, including the headlights turn cluster. And you'll also find on the side of the driver a 20-amp Shoreline inlet, which is an auto eject. You'll also find just slightly to the rear of the bumper an air inlet. General view of the top of the apparatus, including your North Las Vegas Fire Department logo. You'll find backboard or longboard storage located in between the cab and the pump panel. Moving just up to the very top here, we're going to find a couple of items. First, the number 1 crosslay and number 2 crosslay, 1.5 inch water and foam capable, clearly marked yellow and white. You'll also find your speaker and talk system, which is your intercom. And to the right, you'll find your pressure, discharge pressure, pump intake, and also the vacuum and pressure test port gauges. There is also an access latch just to the top. Let's go ahead and talk about some of the items on the pump panel, starting on the left-hand side. First, number 1 crosslay, water and foam capable in yellow. Number 2 crosslay, 2.5 inch crosslay. Those were all of the crosslays we mentioned earlier. You'll also find the number 2 passenger side discharge port. As we move to the right, you'll find your aerial discharge. The center gauge is the indication as to the valves open or closed, and then also a discharge gauge. You'll also find your aerial discharge gauge on the right of that. And then moving to the right-hand side, you'll find your engine cooler. This is a twist, not a pull. In the red area, you'll find your foam system. This is the Pierce foam module for your Husky 12 system. And you also have a foam tank indicator. Moving to the right, you'll find a bank of switches, which we'll identify in just a few moments. You'll find your check engine, check transmission, and stop. 2 amber lights and a red. To the right, you'll find your number 1 driver's side discharge, 2.5 inch. And then you'll also find the number 4 passenger side discharge, 2.5 inch. Moving further to the left, instructions for your Husky 12 foam system and also a diagram. And then the valve here is the front discharge, which we spoke of earlier. This is water and foam capable. On your offside, you're going to have your large diameter discharge. Moving to the right, the number 3 discharge, which is going to be a 2.5 inch. And as we move down, we'll talk about this in a few moments again. This is your Pierce maintenance schedule for 150, 200, and 250 PSI. Moving further to the right, we're going to find your water level. This is the water level within the tank of your apparatus. And then we'll move over to the far right-hand side of the pump panel, and we'll start with the Pierce throttle pressure governor. You also are equipped with an electronic primer. There is a caution label here just below that, and also a warning label that not to open the throttle unless the light is on, indicating green. Just beneath that, you'll find an audible alarm. It is adjustable. Simply turn right or left to dampen or make it louder. To the right, you'll find an indicator. This is your pump engaged, and above that, a pant light. And then as we move down, you'll find your tank fill and recirculating line, and also your tank to pump. Let's move further down to your pump drain, and to the right, the manual pump shift. Let's go all the way back up to the switches, talk a little bit about those. First, starting at the top with your foam system. Once again, this is that red area that we talked about earlier. This is the foam module. You'll also find your driver's side scene lights, passenger side scene, rear scene lights, driver's side pull-up flood, and passenger side pull-up flood, in addition with your waterway shutoff. Let's go to the Pierce maintenance schedule for 150, 200, and 250 PSI. This is indicating that at 150 PSI you have 1,509 GPM at 1,424 RPMs. Subsequently, they list below, including the job number in the upper left-hand corner. This is an indicator here, placard stating warning that only trained personnel should operate this equipment. And on the far right-hand side, you'll find a warning regarding a fall protection and not to ride on the side of an apparatus. Down below, you'll find your placard identifying the type of pump you have, which is Watrous, and then also a warning label here regarding when opening caps, be cautious of pressurized caps when removing. Because as an aerial, be advised that there is also a danger that there could be entanglement into power lines, and that's the danger label. And to the far right, you'll find your warning label here regarding the mixing of foam is not recommended. You'll also find your foam functions for inlet, strainer, and drainer just above. And then behind this door, we'll find your foam handle horizontal position for operation, and then to fill, you'll move to a vertical position. Instructions are on the left-hand side of the door. Just a quick reminder here regarding foam on the far right, not to mix. This is also your Watrous placard regarding the type of pump and ratio. As we move to the far left-hand side of the pump, you're going to find your 2.5-inch auxiliary inlet, and then at the very bottom you'll find all your color-coded and labeled lift to drain. Underneath, you're going to find your foam pump intake drain and foam pump discharge drain. Those are also lifts. At the very top, you'll find additional netting along on the sides and on the top. And as we move up into the dunnage area, there are two pieces up here that I'd like you to identify. First, on the left, the smaller tank. This is your foam system hydraulic parts. And then on the right, this is your hydraulic generator oil or hydraulic generator. We'll talk a little bit about those in more detail in the next set of images. First, let's start here with your Harrison hydro generator. This is a hydraulically driven generator, and then you'll also find your foam tank fill location just behind it. Also, you're going to have, when the ladder is in the raised position, the ability to gain access to your water tank. We're now in the first compartment, and this is going to be when you're plugged into shore power. It will maintain your air compressor, and then also your Harrison amps for line 1 and 2. On the far right, you'll find this breaker box, and you'll also find a warning label here regarding the use of that. And then on the far right, you'll find your auto charger when plugged into shore power. This will tend your battery's maintenance needs. On the right-hand side, you do have 110 power. The G1 stands for generated power, so that's for your generator on top of the rig. The S1 stands for shore power. As we move through, we'll also find an additional access point here for the frequency and also AC volts of line 1 and 2 for your generator. This is the continuous power supply. This is for your Harrison generator. I would like to note in this compartment, two fixed shelves. The arrow is indicating that you do have a 12-volt access, which is just above here. This is a barrel-style 12-volt access point. Runs off of the batteries. In the center, you're going to find a pegboard style. There's a latch to open. On the hinge side of this, there is a release mechanism, so when it opens fully, you will need to release the pin to allow it to close. Located on the driver's side is where you'll also find your fill location, which is a blue cap for your DEF 4.5. There is also an emergency light and two additional bottle storage between the two rear wheels, and just to the rear of that you'll find this silver cap, which is your ultra low sulfur diesel fill. Located in the center of the apparatus, you'll find additional compartment space, and at the back section just before the outrigger you'll find an additional compartment where you also have 12-volt access, once again operationally off the battery. Let's go ahead and move to the rear section here. As this steps down at the top, you'll find an additional side-facing floodlight, which is adjustable. You'll also find in between the stair access point, the front to rear degree indicator. This is the location of that I just mentioned. Let's take a look at the rear of the apparatus. First, you'll find the emergency light, brake light, turn indicator, and also a reverse light. You'll also find a switch here to turn on additional scene lights to the rear. And as we move further up, you'll find a rear-facing flood. Let's go down just beneath that where you'll find your David Clark headset plug-in location. Moving just inward of that module is where you're going to find your two attachment points, tow hooks. You'll also find a warning label here to ensure your load direction. As we move up, you'll find a pan door on the left-hand side. This is where your control module is for your aerial device outriggers. You're also going to find additional warning labels here regarding riding on the back of the apparatus and also pressurized caps. Located in the center, you're going to find your inlet for the aerial device. Moving to the right, you're going to find your right to left or side to side inclinometer. And then just above that, you'll find your intake pressure. Located in the pan door, we'll talk about that in the next few set of images. I have a close-up of that. And at the very top, you're going to find your traffic advisor. Just above the traffic advisor is where you'll find your backup camera or reverse image camera. Moving just down to the right, you'll find an additional pan door. This is to gain access to the hose bed. And then also, once again, an additional warning label here and danger warning regarding electrical conductivity. Here are some close-ups of those images that we just talked about. Traffic advisor and camera. As we move forward, you'll find your rear scene lights. And then these were the warning labels that I was referring to next to the right for your anchor system. As we look inside the first pan door that we talked about, this is your access point. You're going to find a diagnostic interface plug-in. To the right, you're going to find when you switch on your stabilizer power, the light will indicate green. And then you also have a protected switch, which is your override. It is in red. And then further to the right, you'll find a red indicator light and also your emergency stop. As we remove the attached remote, you're going to find first the layout on this controller. There are two handles on the left-hand side. As you can see in the very front, this controls the front left and the front right stabilizer. On the bottom section, you'll find it controls the rear left and rear right stabilizer. There are also indicator lights once you've properly placed the stabilizers to its full outward position and also downward position. There is a power light in addition with stabilizers not stowed. And then you also have level assist and also stabilizers EPU. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of the detail here. First, your aerial inlet. There's the pressure, and also just beneath it, you have your left to right. In the pan door is where you're going to find your intake relief valve and also your aerial drain. In the center, you're going to find your ladder storage and also long tool storage. And then this is looking inside the pan door on the right to access your hose storage for your aerial device. Hose bed lights on the right side also. In between the step on the passenger side is where you'll find this section, which is your aerial emergency power or stabilizer emergency power. You'll make one or the other selection. Down in the very bottom, that's a switch to indicate that the door is open only for the override, not to move your vehicle. We're now on the passenger side of the vehicle. You can see we have 12-volt access in the upper right-hand corner. We also have adjustable shelving and LED lighting, once again, in almost all compartments. You do have additional bottle storage. That's what these pan doors are located. Located also, you can see the strap hanging down. That is a ability to reach up and grab to pull in the downer position for your door. Once again, bottle storage locations, and what I would like to point out is that danger sticker regarding extreme electrical hazard if you make contact with an electrical line. To the right of that, you're going to find additional storage. I will note on the right-hand side, the outriggers, there is also a warning label here regarding the potential for crush, so be cautious as to when you're putting those outriggers away and pay close attention visually. There is also a warning label here regarding extremely hot exhaust. Be careful where you park your vehicle. In the upper compartment, you can see here you have 12-volt shore power. And as we move midsection, you'll find once again that riding on the apparatus is not advised. You do have two 2.5-inch discharges on this side. You also have a large diameter pump intake, and then you also have your large diameter discharge. There's also a pan door here. We'll talk about what's behind that in the next set of images where I have some close-ups. This is going to be behind the pan door. You're going to find your intake relief valve and also your water strainer. Down at the very bottom, you'll find your relief valve drain. And then also across the very bottom, you'll find all your color-coded drain valves for the associated discharges. We're back to the midsection again. At the top, you can see the netting and also access to the right for your longboards. Let's move up top of the aerial device. We'll talk about some of the things at the pedestal. Let's start first with the warning label regarding, once again, fall and also electrical conductivity. Down at the very bottom, there is possibility for crush while you're moving a hydraulic piece of equipment. And you'll also find an access door here. We'll show that in the next set of images. And at the very top, hard to see in this image, but you do have an audible alarm, and that's also the ability to gain or decrease the volume. This is that panel here where you'll find your basket leveling for auto or manual or up or down. On the left, we're inside the pedestal area. You're going to find warning and caution and danger labels located on the left-hand side of the cover. As we move to the right-hand side of the pedestal, We'll talk about first at the very top, your emergency stop. It's also broken down into subsections here. This is your monitor section. This is the selection for left to right for your monitor. You also have tracking lights, which are on the outside of the aerial ladder. And then you also have your front basket light, under basket light, and rear basket lights. Those are also capable of turning on at this location. You have slow, normal, and fast for aerial speed. And then on the far right of this area, you have your emergency hydraulic power. Next is broken into two categories. First, nozzle control and ladder control. Nozzle control is responsible for the stream fog, or right to left and lower and raise. Your ladder controls are for the ladder for retract, left and right, and also raise and lower. You will find your vehicle equipped with a command zone, has a tremendous amount of information right at your fingertips. Located just above on the pedestal, you'll find your communication speaker and volume control. And on the top of the pedestal, in the hood, you'll find your 100-foot steel aerial platform load chart. This has for wet and dry information for 500 or 1,000 pounds. It's a 2,000 pound or 2,000 GPM waterway, and that is with the 35-mile-an-hour wind. What I would like to point out is in the lower section, there are some asterisks, and pay close attention to those in those conditions. On the side of your ladder is where you'll find your inclinometer from 0 to 80 or from 0 to 10 degrees minus. When you open at the base of the ladder, you'll find your overrides for your ladder and also the control sticks for those overrides. Let's go ahead and now move up to the sides of the ladder. These are on the outer section of the main fly. This is going to be additional storage locations, and also on the left-hand side you can see additional storage locations here. Moving up into the basket now, first an overview. You have some attachment points here for personnel safety attachment for hooking an employee or firefighter to the actual device for fall protection. You also have an emergency stop and also communications with the pedestal and also onto the side of the apparatus. Just to look at some of the controls, they're broken into the basket controls, monitor selection, and also nozzle control, and also aerial speed. Let's go ahead and move to ladder controls. You'll find this is a removable module. It can be moved to various locations handheld, and it also has just in the lower base by the command zone an audible speaker also. This is the location if you choose to attach the module for moving the ladder so you can get better vantage point or viewpoints. There is also bucket storage locations here, in addition with multiple locations for attaching safety belts to personnel. As we move to the base, you'll find these cutouts down at the very bottom for the waterway controls. This is for turning on and off those MasterStream devices. As we move through some of these images, you'll find once again this is your intercom system, volume control on the left. This is the left side in your basket looking forward, and then just down at the base you're going to find an additional 20 amp outlet. Moving now to the fly section, you'll find tool holding devices, and then as we move now into the cab, this is the rear section of the cab, pointing out at all points of entry for personnel you're going to find these warning labels regarding the use of seat belts. There are also assist straps here for firefighters entering and exiting the cab. Your vehicle is equipped with 2 forward-facing SCBA seats and also a David Clark head system for each of those forward-facing seats. This is your system here module for those David Clark head systems. As we look forward here to the doghouse area, engine cowling, you're going to find in the middle access point for daily checks for your oil and transmission. There's also a light inside this area. As we look in between or just on the outer edges of this compartment, we're going to find adjustable shelving. And I'd also like to point out this is now in the passenger seat. Your vehicle is equipped with a supplemental restraint system, a indication here for a warning that you should not block this area or mount anything within this area. Looking overhead, you'll find these candy cane style stickers. They're indicating behind this that there is spare wiring. And you'll also find in the very front center,
This red puck style light, if indicated or illuminating or flashing, this is indicating you have a compartment open or a door open and not to move your apparatus. In the center console, you're going to find two 12-volt barrel style. Just to the right of that, you're going to find a Blue Sea, which is going to be a USB 12-volt access. To the right, you'll find a parking brake, and then once again, those candy cane style labels and also your vehicle data recorder. Up overhead of the passenger seat, you're going to find your Panasonic all-weather radio. We're now in the driver's section. You'll find once again point of entry. We have warning labels here. We also have indications here regarding your seat belts and that they are red in color for easy visualization. And then I'll talk about some of the placards here. First, down at the lower right-hand foot near the accelerator pedal is your manufactured by Pierce. It has the date of manufacture, your job number. It also has gross vehicle weight ratings in addition with your VIN number. Down below, you'll find your fluid capacities for each of the components and fluid capacities and also fluid types. As we move to the driver's door, you'll find 4 controls for your electric windows. Moving down at the base, you're going to find when plugged into shore power, this Kussmaul electronic auto charger will activate. And at the base of the floor, you'll find your air horn and mechanical siren. Just up from this location is where you're going to find your tech module, engine, transmission, ABS diagnostic port, and also your display port for your command zone, ABS diagnostic, engine diagnostics, your regen inhibit, and DPF regen. Just up from that location is your master battery switch. It is a red quarter turn to engage your batteries. To the right-hand side, you're going to find your interaxle differential lock. It indicates when it is red that it is active. You're also going to find on the left side your ignition, start, and warning lights for hazard lights. And onto the right, the small area headlights and panel rocker switch for brightening and dimming. And then this switch labeled EM, which stands for emergency master. On the right-hand side, you're going to find your high idle indicator, green indicator light, and your switch to turn on or activate the high idle. On the left side of the console, you're going to find your transmission temperature, oil temperature, DEF fuel level, or I should say DEF level, and also your water level. You also have a tachometer, and to the right, you're going to find your rear air and also your front air, fuel, volts, and also your speedometer. Above and below the speedometer is where you'll find a digital readout providing multiple information regarding your apparatus and also pre-designated lighted switches. General view here of the center console. Let's break down some of those components next, starting first on the left with your system parking brake. Pull to apply and push to release. To the right, you'll find your Pierce command zone. Once again, a tremendous amount of information at your fingertips. And as we move to the right, your Allison transmission pad with a digital readout as to what gear you're in. Moving further to the right, you're going to find these switches: aerial master, aerial PTO, generator PTO, platform leveling, air horn, electronic, siren, front basket, and also your load manager. Down below, you'll find your engine brake. It's an on-off switch, settings for medium, low, or high, your retarder, auto retarder, and also your front wheel lock. Moving slightly to the right is where you're going to find your off-road traction and also your mirror heat. Just below, you're going to find your pump shift, which is from road to pump or pump to road. You'll find 2 indicators in green: pump engaged and OK to pump. Those will illuminate if properly engaged. Moving just above this, you're going to find your mirror controls for flat and convex. And just above that, you'll find your climate control. The gray area is your heat defrost. Red heat, blue is for your air conditioning. General view overhead. Let's first start on the far left-hand side with the logo or placard regarding the height at 12 feet 5.75 inches, your length at 47 feet 5 inches, and your gross vehicle weight rating at 81,000 pounds. If anything is revised on your apparatus, it should reflect this placard. Moving from left to right, you'll find your emergency master. You'll find roof light, front warning, and side warning. And then you'll find in the next section down your lower rear warning, upper rear warning, high beam flash, and then your Opticom switch. Moving slightly to the right overhead, you'll find your siren brake, front flood, driver's side flood, and passenger side flood. You'll also find in the subsection below this your driver's scene, passenger scene, driver's side pull flood, and passenger side pull flood. Let's move further to the right where you're going to find your siren and PA control. And then moving slightly above from that location to the right is where you're going to find your traffic advisor. In the center, you'll find your Pierce seatbelt information. Not the best image here, but red indicating someone is in the seat and not belted. Green indicating that they're in the seat and belted. And then on to the right, you can see you have your stereo system. Let's go ahead and go back to the center section. I want to just touch base on this. This once again is your do not move your apparatus if this light is illuminated. It could mean a variety of different things, but something is in the open or not stowed position. On the A-pillar in the driver's side, you'll find additionally the VIN number. It's also on that yellow placard on the side of the driver's seat. Overhead, we're going to find the push-on, push-off red and white lights, your David Clark head system, and also your air conditioning unit. General view here of the rear section of your apparatus, 2 additional rear-facing seats also. Congratulations, North Las Vegas, Nevada, on your new fire apparatus, job number 31813. If you have any questions as to the content of this video or further information needed, please contact your Hughes Fire sales representative. Congratulations.